Good evening. I hope you've had a good day. And if you haven't had a good day, I hope that you're taking time right now just for yourself. In our midweek check in, we like to take a little time in the middle of the week just to connect to one another and check in with ourselves, with our spirit, and with one another if possible, to see how things are going. So, first, I'd ask you to take a breath and get comfortable and maybe push those shoulders down if they've been up high today. Push them down a little bit, get them in a better place. Let yourself rest your neck a little, rest your back a little, and just be in a moment of quiet, in a short time of lingering. We're going to take the time right now to invite the presence of God. Yes, He's always with us, but somehow, when we take the time to invite His presence, we take note of it differently. We feel it differently. And so, right now, we would ask God to enter in with each and every one within sight of this offering or who can hear it if you're busy doing something else with your eyes right now. We're taking a moment to see, how was today? Was today super busy? Was today like a roller coaster, full of energy and then empty of energy, and perhaps full of energy again? Was today a special day that had to be honored differently in our current circumstances? Was today just another day? Our days take on a different quality depending on what's happening, what influences we have in what we hear, or what we're told, or even what we seek out. The first thing we're going to check in with today is relationships. Let's take a moment and consider who you were in connection with today. Who was I in connection with? Did you talk to someone by phone, in person? Did you encounter someone you didn't expect to in your movement about today? Did you message someone or text them or video call with them? Maybe someone lives near or with you and you spoke to them or were present with them and chose not to speak. Taking a moment to reflect on your relationship today, your interactions with anyone. Let's see what comes to mind. In your interaction today and any of them, did you feel God more strongly than you had before the interaction? Once in a while, we have that precious moment where we know that we are just where we're supposed to be, in a right time, connecting with someone, and that there's more to it than just the words coming from our mouth. There is a spiritual dimension. There's a deepening, or some people call it a quickening, There's an extra measure of interaction. I am so thankful for those times. Or perhaps today was a day when you meant to interact with someone and just didn't get to it, or just didn't feel quite up to it, not quite ready. Maybe not ready for what you wanted to put forward or say, or maybe not ready for what you anticipated you would hear, subjects that you weren't ready to engage in, thoughts or feelings that might be troubling, or might cause you one more measure of missing something. Maybe speaking to that person or interacting with them was quite different 4 or 5 months ago, and you're just not ready to do it a new way. We can take a moment and consider both things: interactions that worked, interactions that went a little deeper, and interactions that could have happened but didn't today. When we consider the interactions we had today, whatever they may be, that's a type of relationship. Let's take a moment and consider, did we, in relationship, kind of bring God along with us? Were we working together with Him? Or did we just act in our own power, especially in the difficult ones? If so, it's okay to take a moment right now and ask God for help. Help with making a call, maybe even help with not making a call, help with making a connection, maybe help with what to say, often help with timing. Do you ever get the impulse to connect to someone or call them or text them or message them, and you had no idea what you'd say when you did? That happens once in a while when someone connects with me, and they'll say, "Why did you call?" And I get to say, "God and I decided that I should." Changes the tone considerably, or some folks wouldn't receive that well. And I simply say, "You were on my mind," and it just wouldn't leave me be until I reached out with a call or a text or an email. It seems so awkward when we're the sender, but what about when we're the receiver and somebody out of the blue calls or texts or messages us just because they were thinking of us? It feels like someone cares. And perhaps we feel the presence of God in that reaching out and that connection. Relationships are often the hard part. Let's try something easier. Let's consider the place where you're sitting or standing or driving right now. Is there a good gift in that place that you tend not to notice or see anymore? I was visiting a beautiful place about a month ago, and I commented to someone working there that it must be a bit distracting to have that view all around them. And they said which could have been expected. I don't really see it often anymore. It's always there. Is there something about the place that you find yourself in now that you don't see anymore? Let's take a moment and consider the good gift of the place that we're in right now. I'm sitting on what they used to call a sun porch, and every time I come out, I notice that the ceiling was raised, which was at my request. And oftentimes, depending on where I'm sitting, I notice one board that's out of line. With all that expanse of ceiling, I often see that one board. But actually, that's not a negative. I remember the young man putting the ceiling in and how hard he worked to get that board flat. It just wasn't going to happen. And it actually reminds me of persistence and reminds me that sometimes what we think the outcome is not quite what matters the most. His effort meant a great deal to me and still does. And so often when I'm in this place, I give thanks. First, for the ceiling to be raised and all that extra space. And secondly, for a worker who did all he could. What about the space that you're in? Is there a good thing about it that you don't see anymore? That we could take a moment right now and notice? Many of us have good gifts that we don't see anymore in the places that we live. What about other items of great importance to you? Of course, what comes to mind in these times, and because of what I'm doing, is technology. Maybe you have a device that has suddenly become far more important to you. Maybe that device now seems to you to be a good thing in ways that it never was before. Perhaps it was a source of entertainment before. Maybe you associated it with work. And now we can take a moment to revalue something in our lives that we can see as good. And in that goodness, we can see and value it as a good gift from God. Let's take a moment now and let ourselves notice good things, actual material things in our lives. For many, it could be a vehicle. It's anything that you find good in and can recognize the gifting of. So we've taken a little time just to allow ourselves to know the presence of God, to consider interacting with people and what in those relationships went well, brought us back to notice God differently, or could have gone better, or could have gone at all. We've taken time to notice the place, maybe our shelter, maybe a room, maybe an outdoor setting that we can find the good in and be thankful for. And now we can think about what we did with our day. For some people, what we've done with our week so far. Have you been busy? Have you missed being busy? Are there activities that you engaged in that you felt brought you closer to God? That gave Him a little more room to be present with you? Are there activities that pushed God away? Are there activities, now that you consider them, that did not hold firm your hope or your faith or your love? I have to say that when I get over involved with the news, I can't say that it troubles my faith, but it certainly can make a dent in my current feeling of hope. And it can challenge my sense of love. I have to guard my heart with just how much news I allow. I feel it's responsible to stay current, but not enough that that news, whoever's speaking it, whatever their purpose or point of view, gets to impact my sense of faith or hope or love. It might be odd to consider love in respect to the news, but we can feel a rush of love. We can hear of a kindness, we can hear of a good deed or a lovely unexpected outcome, and we can feel a rush of love or hope or faith just in the hearing. Surely it's true that equally we can feel a challenge to our faith or hope or our love by incidents we hear told on the news or predictions and projections that may impact us or folks that we love. We can take a moment, if it's the news or any activity that you missed. Maybe it lifts you up and brings you closer to God to take a walk, and you haven't found time or energy for it recently. It could be anything that's an activity. We can take a moment and thank God for the ones that lifted us up, and we can ask God's help for those that we did not guard against doing or not doing. What we get to with this review of activities is God's good gift of time, which you and I got to enjoy today. We had the good gift of time today. Time to do, time to be, time to consider doing. So as we consider the good gift of time today, is there, when you review your connections and relationships, the things in your life that you take time to be thankful for? and the activities that you've been engaged in or that you've missed. In all of those things, we can reflect and ask ourselves, when we consider those parts of our lives, did we allow God room in them? Were we intentional that that room included the opportunity to be our best selves for a time, for a day? For our best selves are always in relationship with our Creator. Maybe we didn't. Can we take the time right now to consider being more intentional with our good gift of time? Consider taking that moment to invite God in with us. The question I use is I ask myself, is it pleasing to God? The things I do or the things I don't do. Whether I rest, whether I take care of myself as God's creation, or whether I tend to the good things or the good relationships that He makes possible for me, the good activities that His gift of time allows. When I take that extra moment to do that, I find that circumstances don't trouble me in the same way. And I surely hope that for you, that circumstances don't trouble you when inviting God in could hold you steady. We've had a nice review of our day or of our week. And I like to end by speaking to you, Spirit of the living God. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. I hope and pray that this little time of reflection has allowed you to remember again all the good that comes from inviting the presence of God into your daily life and me into mine. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift His countenance upon you and give you peace. I'm going to linger just a moment in case there are any comments that I can engage in. And I'm saying good night. I do see you there, Anne. Thank you for giving me a message so that I knew who was here. And I'm so thankful that we could have this little time together. Good night. I would like you to know that there is a live opportunity 2 times on Sunday, on Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock and Wednesday evenings at 7, to connect with someone that is inviting in the presence of God.